Well, there was once a vice president whose ambitions took him to the White House until an unfortunate nickname derailed his political career. Here's Robin Hamilton with more on What's in a Name.
Brian, last week we told you about how our 7th Vice President John C. Calhoun lost his seat on President Andrew Jackson's reelection campaign because of Mrs. Calhoun's involvement in the D.C. society scandal known as the Petticoat Affair. Jackson replaced Calhoun with Martin Van Buren, who became the USA's 8th vice president. Van Buren later succeeded his boss as chief executive, becoming our 8th president in 1836. Martin Van Buren was our first official American vice president and our first official American president. So how is that possible? Well, the 7 vice presidents and presidents who preceded Van Buren were all born prior to 1776, the American Revolution. So as residents of the American colonies, they were all British subjects by birth. Born after 1776, Van Buren was the first president to be born as a citizen of the United States of America. He was also the first holder of both offices who was not of English or Irish descent. He was Dutch, and he was the first who spoke English as a second language. His native tongue was Dutch. Van Buren had a meteoric rise in politics. U.S. Senator from New York, Governor of New York, U.S. Secretary of State, U.S. Ambassador to Great Britain, Vice President, and finally, President. But when the U.S. economy fell on hard times during his presidency, Van Buren's foes began referring to him as Martin Van Ruin. The nickname may not have been fair, but the twist on his name was clever and catchy, and it stuck. Voters did not return Van Ruin or Van Buren to the White House after his first term. He kept trying for another term, even running as a third-party candidate. But whenever he campaigned, that Martin Van Ruin nickname would come up again. Van Buren's career in politics was over. Later in life, he admitted in a letter as to the presidency, the 2 happiest days of my life were those of my entrance upon the office and my surrender of it. Live in D.C. with your D.C. Connection, I'm Robin Hamilton. Back to you.
Well, thanks, Robin. In the history of the USA, Martin Van Buren remains our only president who spoke English as a second language.